It's the Friendly Fire Show, episode 246 for August 2023. I am one of your hosts, Steve Wright. Joining me is your other host, the better one, Ben Salter. Hello, the better one. How have you been succeeding in life this week?
Same old, Steve. Nothing new to report this week. I haven't even used my new mattress yet, so maybe I won't because it's a guest mattress. So why would I need to unless I'm a guest in my own home? But at some point I will. All I've been doing is I'm preparing to go to Bali next week. So we're going to have a few weeks off. We may as well just say at the top of the show, we're going to have a small hiatus because I'm in Bali. And then as I get back, you're going to Canada. So
yes,
between the two of us, we're doing some traveling.
Yes, I'm going to Hawaii first because it was literally half as much money to fly to Canada through Hawaii than it was to fly direct to Canada.
Wow.
So but then everything in Hawaii is priced like 7 times higher than everything else. I guess because it's an island and maybe the cost of living means it's more expensive to ship things needed there. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, let me ask you this as a fellow vision impaired person. What do you do at a water park to see? Because like I don't want to get blasted in the face with wearing contacts because that'll be very unpleasant. You can't wear glasses. What do? You just walk around blind?
Well, I have a shitty pair of glasses that I kind of do wear sort of in the water and stuff, but then like it's the same kind of problems really. Like I was a kid and I remember diving in the like pool in Saskatoon and the contact like fell out of my eye and like it went into my mouth. I don't know why I was swallowing water, but I could feel it, so I kind of like picked it out of my teeth kind of thing. That you don't want that. Like you don't want to wear contacts in the water for that reason. And glasses, same thing. Like how blind are you, by the way?
Relatively blind.
I can't get out. I can't do it. Can you see?
I can walk around and see, but I can't read anything or anything like that. And it's disorientating for too long. And like all these water parks, like you can't go on anything with glasses anyway. It's like considered dangerous. So that's kind of out. And if it's that level of force and speed, I don't want to be like fishing out a contact that's gone behind my eyelid. Like it's just not worth the hassle. Having had that done before by a doctor, that was a bad time. So I'm not going to do that. Well, I think I might just have to hope for the best and walk around blind. Like,
I think the clear answer is like LASIK surgery.
But I don't have time for that now. that's in future, and it's really expensive.
Yeah, my husband had it done and his parents paid for it, and that's the reason why he's had it done and the reason why I've not had it done. And he won't say enough amazing things about it, and I'm kind of like, and his parents did it for him because his parents both have really bad eyes, so they did it for themselves and then realized that, you know, like it was their defective genetics that did it to him. So like good for that. They didn't give me my defective genetics, and my parents aren't going to pony up because they have perfect eyesight. I don't know what the hell happened to me. But it just 99% of my life it doesn't matter if I have contacts or not. So like contacts don't bother me otherwise, and I buy like 2-week wear them all days, and I take them out at night and wear them for a month. And when I say a month, I probably wear them for like 3 months. And like it doesn't bother me. And normally, like if I'm not jumping in bodies of water, it's not an issue. So like I don't feel like I could justify getting laser eye surgery. But that's the answer.
All right, I'll just walk around blind. That's the solution. I don't think I can get blasted in the eye with a laser in the next week. So
well, you could. You probably just wouldn't have a very good time in Bali with, you know, like all the looking at lights and stuff. Where
cheaper there. I could get it done on holiday.
No, don't do that.
No, bad idea.
No, please don't do that. I'm excited that you're going to Bali.
Yeah, I've never been. It's a standard Australian spot to go because it's relatively close by our standards, since everywhere else is miles away.
Yeah.
But never been. I don't really know what we're doing because normally I would arrange this type of thing. But this was meant to be for like a group 30th birthday like years ago, which obviously couldn't happen because that was during the no traveling the world times. So
it's for a group 40th now.
It's close enough. Not quite. Yeah, it could have been. So yeah, I haven't really planned a great deal. We're going to 3 different spots. I don't know that much about them. One of them is Kuta briefly.
Yeah.
One of them is like Seminyak, and one of them is something I don't know.
I
So
feel
yeah,
like
that's what we're doing.
you're doing the Australian tourist
Yeah,
playbook. So well
of
done.
course. I'm going with other Australian tourists. So yeah, that's basically it.
Don't drink the water.
I've
Don't
been to Southeast Asia before.
don't.
I know the
Well,
rules.
I knew all these things and still
You
forgot
did
when I
it
was brushing
anyway.
my teeth and dipped my toothbrush in the water, and then I didn't. Well, that's what I figure. It could have been a drink or something, a coffee. Yeah, I did
Probably
not have
that.
a very fun week. That week I went
Mm.
for work, and then we had a week of leisure, and that week of leisure I was in my room more than I wanted to be, kind of just close to facilities in case I needed them, and I won't go into more
Mm.
detail,
Well,
which was a good
that's
thing. Sorry,
yeah, that's
that's
what I'm thinking is, do I risk spending too much time in my room by bringing a gaming device? You're a man who travels the world with gaming things, or do I take a week and a half off? No games at all. That could be good too.
well, I brought my Series S, and it was probably a good thing because when I had to kind of
Yeah,
be
you
in
needed
it,
it.
I played like all of Sonic Frontiers basically, and it was great. Um, I personally don't think you should. Tied to a
Yeah, I
TV
don't
in a
think I
dark
will.
room, maybe you could take a portable device. Are you thinking about
At
taking like a
most, I would do
Switch?
that.
Have you played enough of The Legend of Zelda yet, or are you still?
Yes, it would only be Pikmin. The Switch is too big to use on a plane anyway, so I don't. I find I take it places and then I never actually use it. And I'm feeling the same way. I'm almost like maybe I should just have Vampire Survivors on my phone, and if I want to play that for 10 minutes, I can do that. Like maybe that's what I'll do. But there should be a lot of downtime. This is a relaxing holiday. It's not like Japan, which was a go 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 holiday.
Yeah. Well, but if you're gonna be relaxing, you're probably gonna be relaxing outdoors, and then like even if you bring a Switch, you
Yeah, I
gotta
wouldn't
find a
use it.
shady place. The glare's there. You're probably just better off getting a book or a Kindle, one of the new
A
Kindles
book?
that's easier to read in the daylight. So like with the new
Yeah,
e-ink or whatever.
maybe I'll get a book. Good call.
Well, or Matt's like, I don't really want to read a book. I'm like, buy a magazine or something. Then it's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
you're
the
like
thing.
halfway there, but not
But
quite.
magazines don't exist, or we could be employed as magazine writers. This is not 2007. What do you?
That's true. Bring an old magazine from
Yeah.
2005 and you can read about, I don't even know what, Dead Space 1 or something like that. Um I I'll tell you what. We're if people listen to this podcast, they know that we're efficient. We're not timely. So we do 2 weeks at a time. So sorry everyone that you've peeked behind the curtain. The only reason I say this is by the time you hear this episode, I'll have hopefully have run 14K City to Surf in
Oh
Sydney.
shit!
That's
Wow,
happening between the last two
that's
episodes. This
insane.
episode, well, I haven't done it yet, so don't be impressed yet. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to Sydney. I've got this ROG Ally, Republic of Gamers Ally. I don't know how you call it. Is anyway that a handheld device that's equivalent to or like comparable to a Steam Deck, a competitor to the Steam Deck. Maybe I'll test it by taking it with me to
By
Sydney.
running 14Ks and
No,
playing
I
at the
wasn't gonna
same
do
time.
no, just on the plane. And maybe like on Saturday night was as we're dreading what's about to happen. I'm like, oh, and I'm going to Canada. I could that's like the entire flight sorted. I can just play PC games on the plane. It's gonna be the best.
Yeah.
And then like I spent a week with it. Matt was on like nights and he was on weekends, so I had a lot of time on my hands. I'm like, well, I might as well just get stuck into this. And I'm glad I did actually because I feel like if I would have taken this ROG Ally to Canada, it would have been like a very time not time. It'd be a space wasting, weight wasting paperweight most of the time because like let's cut to the chase, you get an hour's worth of playtime off
Ooh,
one full battery charge, and that's
not
unless you're
great.
well, and like hopefully on a plane, maybe not to Sydney, but hopefully on to Canada, there's probably like a power point in your seat. So like problem solved,
Would it be
maybe.
powerful enough to charge that? It would need some pretty
Well,
high amps,
I
probably.
don't know, but I don't want to bring that giant heavy. No, it's not heavy, but like heavy enough for like your carry on and stuff, and it takes enough space. Like I don't want to test it and find out
Hmm.
that I basically just have to throw it back in my carry on for 9 hours of a 10 hour
Hours.
flight. And also, like I don't even know how it works with most. Like I guess with Steam games, I
Have to be
probably wouldn't have.
online?
Well, that's the
No,
thing.
surely
I don't
not.
know. And like
It's
a
a
lot of the
handheld.
games I have are Windows Store games. So like, do you need to be always online for those? Probably not. You probably can do like a check-in once every week or something. But like, too many unknowns for me to go like, yeah, I'm gonna take this
Don't bother.
$1,200 paperweight on a flight and see if I get to play some time. And then if you're like connected to a PowerPoint, you're a mobile, you might as well just be sitting at a TV or on a PC. And
Yeah.
it connects to like a TV and stuff, but it very quickly goes into Switch problems in that it looks great in maybe even 720 60 frames on the little screen in front of you, but as soon as you put like that on a 4K TV, it's not gonna cut
Not
it
great.
anymore.
For
So it's
$1,200. How is it to play as a handheld that's plugged in, sitting on your couch? What's the quality of this experience like? Is it comfortable?
it's comfortable for me. I think I have like you're like 6 foot something, and I'm 5'10", but I have big hands. So like, if you have big hands, good.
Yeah,
But
which is
if you have
yeah,
smaller hands, it's like I had to kind of claw it to get to all the buttons. There's two on the back which are sort of useful to hold it, but like they're kind of in the way. Like you're worried that you're gonna hit them sometimes, and then you got to kind of like reposition to get the triggers because it's not like large. It's just wide. Like you can fit an Xbox Series Elite controller where the screen is, and then there's like bigger than
more
the
on the side.
Switch
Yeah,
kind of Joy-Cons, probably twice as wide
yeah.
relatively on the
Okay,
side. So it's like a big. It's not super heavy, but it's like just a
definitely.
big unit. Um, and it's fine. Like you gotta like, especially if you're trying to do some of the right hand stuff, your right hand's gonna be moving quite a bit, like going between all the things you'll have to do. Whereas your left hand's pretty stationary. And I feel like if you had smaller hands, you'd be worried about how you were holding it. Like I don't know. I feel like it would be tenuous if you have smaller hands. But it's really really good. It was running most of the games in 1080p at like 30 frames. It was running faster in 720p, but like you can start seeing it in 720p as compared to 1080. And then like I don't know, most of the games that I play, I just feel like I'd benefit from seeing it on a big screen where like all the UI
Yeah,
is like it wasn't hard to read, but it was just like when
it
you're
is
like
hard.
you're playing a game on your phone that you're streaming like on cloud streaming, and you're like, yeah, this is okay, but it's not
But
as
it's
good as it
worse.
would have been. Yeah. So and
I
like the
suppose that's the
battery life
thing.
was like just kind of sad, and like we've definitely talked about this. There's like the games that have the timer on the top of the screen, and like I hate those games because I just get filled with anxiety. Like I have to be so efficient, I have to do the right path, I have to do this, and like that takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have an hour of battery life like places that like layer on top of anything you do. It's like, I can't be like mucking around in control
Oh
panel
yeah.
because I like this is 5 minutes I could have put towards Forza
Gotta
Horizon
keep
5.
saving.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's if like it's weird because as time goes, we're gonna want these things to produce more powerful graphics and like higher resolutions and better frames, but that's gonna draw on the power, and like that's kind of like where the Switch excels because it's not so demanding and you get some battery life out of it. Whereas like I'd like to think that somehow the power situation is going to be fulfilled, but like as we get more and more demanding, like that's just going
Mm.
to go with it. So it's cool like if you know if this is for you, and if you are like me and you'd just be sick and tired of like an hour of gameplay and then like charging for an hour and 20 minutes and then an hour of gameplay, or like having to sit at a PowerPoint. It's I don't know, it's cool, but it's not for me, and it's not
Yeah.
worth packing in your travel accoutrement or including in your plans, I
Don't
think.
take it with you. Sounds like it's nowhere near matching the Switch as a handheld from being useful. Like I
Yeah.
think if you're going to be a handheld, you need to have at least kind of 5 hour battery life, which the Switch didn't when it launched necessarily, but more updated models are running better. And it's much cheaper as well. We're talking like $350, $400 compared to 1,200. And
Yeah.
so it might be able to play a lot more games. It might be able to play a lot more beefier and hefty games. But at that point, they're not necessarily that suited to being played on a handheld. Like playing games on cloud on my phone, a lot of these are just like as you say, the screen's too small. I want to play it on the TV, so I'll do that. At least a lot of Switch games are, and not all of them. Some of the biggest ones are best on TV, but most of them are designed to work as a handheld game. So, and I think that's the thing that all these handheld devices that are coming out miss. It's the fact that handheld games still need to be designed somewhat, and maybe it's less than they used to be, but like somewhat considered that this is going to be played on a screen in your hands, not on a massive TV. And so, yeah, it's just they don't necessarily translate downscale that much. And I think that's the thing I struggle with using this type of stuff. And the cord doesn't work for me. Like whenever I have a laptop in front of a TV, as soon as it starts going flat, I could very easily get a charger and continue using it. Never do that. I'm always just like, well, I'm done. Go plug it in. Like that's the sign. I can't be bothered moving that charger. It stayed in the office for years. Like I'm not unplugging that now. And it's just like it defeats the purpose of a portable device. Like if I can't just use it.
Well, yeah. And so like, I don't know. I have a Switch. I don't really take my Switch out of the house because I'm scared. Like, you leave it on a table or something and you've just like left $500 just out. Just might as well just light it on fire out of your wallet kind of thing. Like I don't know. I'm not the case for this potentially, but also like it's cool and it's neat. And I was like, like sitting, Matt was watching Roni or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch like playing an hour's worth of Forza, but then I'm like, I could pull out a Backbone for like $120 and connect it to my phone and basically have the same experience and like stream it from either the cloud or because I'm at home and my network's good enough, like I can just console stream to my, and I can do the same thing with my PC upstairs and Steam through my phone. Like it gets a little more difficult for things like Epic Game Store, and it has all the support for that, which like it's good, but it's like, oh, this is just like such an early adopter kind of purchase that like I don't necessarily need. It's really cool, but I don't really need it.
Yeah, I think that's what they all are. They're all kind of cool, but then their use case and how much they actually slot into your daily gaming use or even just regular gaming use is actually not that much.
Yeah. And just, like I'm bad at charging things, like you were saying with my laptop. Like I barely use my laptop anymore. Like I've got my laptop at work that they made me have, and I'm like, I don't need a laptop. Get me a desktop. Like if I'm gonna work, I'm gonna work from home on this thing. If I'm at work, I'll now have a laptop. All right. Well, like I'd never take I'd never take the charger. My personal laptop, because I don't need it, because I've got a computer at work and a computer here. Like I don't use it, so I pull it out once every blue moon. And I'm like, nope, forgot to charge it. Well, I guess I'm not doing that. And like I don't go charge it. I just put it back down and go, whatever. And then I forget 2 weeks later, pick it back up, try to turn it on, and go, oh yeah, that's not gonna work. So
yeah,
it takes longer to charge than it does to play. So that's a bad sign. So.
Yeah, that's always the worry with these things. The charging time is getting outrageous. Also a worry, speaking of things which are not necessarily a sudden improvement, the new Xbox Home is here for some people. Now, I'm a little bit of a foot in each camp because I have two Xboxes in my house. One of them has the new update, one of them doesn't. That in itself is annoying because I need to keep learning or changing my routines depending on which Xbox I'm using. So I know they've staggered it for some reason, but whatever they've done, bad staggering. It's here, like it's a different design. There's certainly some things which are improved. I think the smaller icons make sense. They've freed it up a bit so it's not so busy. They've added a top menu, so now you can press up and you've got, I think, games and apps are there. Settings is there, which makes sense. There's a Game Pass tab. There's a couple other things. I think that makes sense. Like that's what basically everything else does. And that's my first problem because I've seen other people online is then there's the down section is the row of ads which haven't been shrunk. And so now they're the same size as they always were, but they're way more prominent and your eye is drawn to them. And they're quite static, so you get stuck with the same thing for ages.
Yeah.
And it's leaving those massive ads basically makes this whole thing pointless. I don't know. Let's maybe just talk about that bit to begin with. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, and I was trying to turn on my console, but Elgato's saying it's being funny, so I can't see exactly what happens. And I'm in the same boat. I've got 3 Xboxes, and two are new, and one is old home. And like especially because we've been playing a lot of Diablo. Like I'm playing with Matt, so Matt's games and my games are like the tiles don't work most of the time. So I'm used to turning on the Xbox and hitting down once that takes me to my games and apps, and then I go from there. but that's not working most of the
No.
time. And
So
I think I go into an ad and I'm like, oh, this is the worst.
that's a problem. For me, I have bottom left, which is the first row of ads, is Microsoft Store. I've seen a few other people tweet their home, and they've got games and apps there still.
Oh,
Even in the new dashboard, it's like, well, how come you got that and I didn't? And there's no option to customize that.
no.
So that's probably the second most hated thing with this change
I think
is
I go
that
to the store. Sorry.
games and apps has been in that slot for like 10
Since
years.
the console came out, like the
Yeah.
Series X for sure, and the S, maybe
Yeah, I think
Xbox
even
One.
before, maybe even like the One X.
Yeah,
For a long time, and now it's up and buried away. And I think that muscle memory is really annoying to move that. So I think a couple of losses there. The fact that they've got way too much space kind of ruined and wasted by ads, and then the space they've freed up by making the tiles above it smaller is kind of pointless because the ads are still so big and overpowering and overwhelming that it's kind of it's like a nil draw. Like why even bother? Should have just left it as it was if you're going to do that.
yeah.
Then my biggest complaint is I have forever had down one is my current playing games, like a custom group pin there, and that's been the best feature of the Xbox UI and the Xbox menu for years that both the PlayStation and Switch haven't done anywhere near as well. Their folder systems are very clunky. Xbox let you have basically, it was originally just one group of pins, and then they let you have multiple, actually as many as you wanted. So in the current or the now previous menu, you could scroll down and have as much as you wanted. And I had about 6 groups there with all different stuff. The new system, down one, is actually just another row of ads, a much bigger, taller one, specifically for Game Pass. You can't move that. Then you get your 2 custom groups, but you're limited to 2 only. So it takes quite a while to, like, I can still have my current games there, but I can't have anything beyond that really. You can still get to them, but it takes ages. I've got to scroll down past like 5 things, and that's all I want.
Yeah.
The other stuff they've added by default is like most popular games, which is just like Roblox and Minecraft forever, like absolutely
Fortnite.
Pointless tile.
Yeah.
If it was like and like most played or whatever it is, if it was your most played, like it was my most played games, like that would be kind of cool. Or and then you could maybe filter it as like my most played this month or this year or something.
Or at least your friends, because like theoretically, like your curated list of people has a curated list that you'd engage with rather than Fortnite. Sorry.
And then you keep going down, and there's more just ads basically, and so they've added a lot more to it by default, and I do get that a lot of people probably weren't like me. There's probably heaps of users who never set up custom groups, and their menu was probably lacking because of that. But I feel like we've been punished unfairly because of those people, and they've ruined it. Like they're being able to just like jump down. I was willing to forgive the original ads because you could just go down one, and I'm at my current games.
Yeah.
I'm almost instantly there. Now it takes half an hour to get down there. Basically, it's so clunky. It's ugly. Even that custom group has small tiles compared to the big Game Pass ad above it, which has massive vertical tiles. And it's very ungamely. It's all stuff I don't want. And the real thing is the previous Xbox menu was all customizable. You could have as much or as little as you wanted there. Now you've got those 2 custom slots only. They're not even at the top. The rest of it's not. You can't change anything. Yeah. And it's a really disappointing change for me. I think a massive step back.
It reminds me of, and like none of these services do it in a way that anyone is happy with, but like it reminds me of now it's like Microsoft is going full blown like the Netflix of games, but like they're actually going the Netflix of games with this menu, and it's at least Netflix. I feel like they kind of try to like cater to what you like. I scroll down, it's like here's the row of all the Star Trek we still have that we haven't had to give back to Paramount, and here's like horror movies, and here's sci-fi, and here's like gay things because you big gay. Like at least it's trying to get you to do something and access something that you haven't done before, but it's at least trying to cater to what it thinks you want. And most streaming TV services are just like, here's 17 rows of garbage. I think like Binge is probably the worst one. Like you have to scroll down like 12 times, or it seems to change every week to like get to like your list, like my list, air quotes, you know what I mean? And like that's what this feels like. It's not a good algorithm. Yeah. It's not trying to help you. It's just like, I'm just gonna throw stuff in your way. Like, here you go. You don't do this yourself.
Hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least like with those services, you watch a movie once, or you're watching a show, and that normally stays kind of current, and the movie disappear. With games, you're often playing a game for months. Like, it doesn't make sense to make it so hard to get to those games. And now making the tiles at the top smaller means there's now 9 there. So there is more there from what you played. But then, as I say, you lose so much because the ads are so massive. So I would have thought an easy fix there is completely remove that ad row and maybe have like 7 tiles, and then the last 2 could be one longer one, so 1 ad. Like that's, you can still promote stuff in that one slot. That's more than anyone else is doing. There's no ads on Switch, or there is in that news section, but it's not as prevalent. It's not the main
egregious
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last time we were talking, or last time, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about like Xbox Game Pass Core Ultimate, insert name of thing, and I floated the idea of, like just get Ultimate and tack on what you want, do the add-ons, like get cloud streaming, get PC Game Pass. If they being Microsoft said, pay us $2 extra a month and you can wipe, it's like the premium tier subscription, you can wipe all these ads off your interface. 1, would you do it? And 2, do you think they should do that regardless of whether or not you do it because you get annoyed?
I would absolutely do it. I think that should be included in Ultimate, because Ultimate's lost some stuff with this re-tiering, and that would maybe make more sense. So I want the ads all gone, and I want full customization again. I want that Game Pass ad at the top, well, the first row of old games that I don't care about, that's all an ad basically, gone. Or even like an option, if you're paying more, use the dash you want to use. Give us like 10 different dash options. It seems like they don't have to have one at a time. I have 2 different ones on 2 different Xboxes and they're both working. So why do you have to have one? You can obviously run more than one at once.
Yep.
I feel, it's just a massive step back. Those changes to Game Pass, which we've discussed a few weeks ago, were quite disappointing. The change to the dash, disappointing. They haven't released a game in years, really disappointing. I think early on this generation, we were very pro Xbox, and that's probably where we were saying you should go. Like they were just doing all the right things. Now that we're 3 years in, very hard to recommend Xbox.
You can only say like it's about to come. It's about to go. Here it comes. All this investment. Like we've been saying that for years now.
They're not releasing games. They've made Game Pass as a service worse. They've made the Xbox as a platform and how it works worse. They've not updated the bloody Elite controller with a share button, even though it physically has one. Like it just seems like, and I think Sony's been phoning it in to a degree for ages because they know they're going to win this generation easily, but they've become the more consumer friendly option accidentally by not doing nothing in some degrees. So it's a big slip, and it's kind of like it's just weird. It felt like they had so much momentum, 2020, 2021. It's like, okay, they're not quite there yet, but it's all about to happen. And then it's been so many steps backwards. And this is, as a regular Xbox user, this is probably the most disappointing one because like I can deal with Game Pass being nerfed a bit. I can deal with the lack of games from Xbox, but the daily use of Xbox I'm quite used to. And it's almost at the point where like, and that's why I mainly play on Xbox. I'm just so used to it. And I need to think to like, how do I navigate the menus on my PS5? Now that I need to do that on Xbox, this is the time to change, if any time. Yeah. And they've got more games coming out.
Yep. Starfield better be good. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
I don't even know if it's going to be good enough to make up for all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah. Oof. Jeez, what a fun note.
That's a classic rant. Well, let's end on a fun note because Starfield and several other games will be potentially at PAX AUS because we've had some announcements that there's going to be. We at least know that Nintendo, Bethesda, and Devolver Digital are all going to be at PAX.
We were only supposed to know that Nintendo was coming to PAX, and then the PR people accidentally maybe said 2 other names instead. But whoops! And then the cat was out of the bag. It was too late. So now we know all 3.
They do make sense. So PAX AUS is going to be nearly 2 months after Starfield's out. I expect that's still going to be the main focus of their booth. It's their big game. It's going to be. And I think previously at these other expos, and certainly when we were going more regularly, it was kind of you want to play games, because we'd often been to E3 or something beforehand, we're thinking that people want to play stuff which hasn't come out yet, and that's the excitement. Yeah. But the more I think about it, maybe there is excitement in playing something new that you're not sure if you want to spend $125 on now. Now the game's so exciting, maybe it's okay to stand in line for half an hour to try something that you might want to buy that doesn't have a demo. So
yeah, it's a better use of your money. Like you pay $100 to get into PAX that day and hang out with like-minded individuals, see some cosplay, get into a tabletop tournament and stand in line for 2 hours to play Starfield. Like it's not.
Yeah, PAX has always been in that slot where it's too late to have upcoming releases in the year. Yeah. So like Nintendo's probably going to have Super Mario Wonder, which is going to have been out for about 3 weeks or something by that time. It'll have probably Pikmin 4, which will be kind of old by then. It'll probably have some level of Zelda there. Like
Well,
they're
and
not
a
going to
Splatoon
have
3 tournament and a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournament, and like those games will be
yeah.
on the floor. Like it's, here's what you can go buy if you haven't tried it yet and haven't gone to
It'll
the
be
eShop to
merch.
download the demo. Yeah.
I have no idea what Devolver will have, but probably similar. They might have some new stuff that's not out yet, but
They have games coming out this year, but they just like it was funny. I'm glad they did it. Like, and it was also like a 5-minute video and not a 30-minute. Like their E3 things I really like at Devolver, but like the E3 things are like now becoming a 30-minute thing with a 5-minute actual gameplay segment. And this was Devolver delayed, which was just a 5-minute video, which was perfect. And like they've delayed the Australian-made Plucky Squire, which looks really cool. That's that one where you go like between 2D and 3D worlds. Skate Story, I think it's called, the cool one where you're made of glass and like it's like a skateboard game, and if you crash, like you're made of glass, so you figure it out. Like there's a whole bunch of cool games, but they're all delayed into 2024. So I'm imagining if that's the case, they're probably not going to be playable at Devolver's booth because they're needing some extra work. So who knows what's happening? That's why you have here's what just came out last week, and then hey, if you really like it, you can go to the shop and buy it. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, PAX has never been that much about playing games, so it's more the vibe of the place. But at least it's got some big publishers, and that's always the worry that it's not going to have enough, especially in previous years when the platform holders haven't been there. So having Nintendo is a good win. Bethesda's not directly a platform holder, but they kind of are. They're basically Xbox's first party savior at this point, and they're betting everything on Starfield, so they kind of are close enough.
Well, like if Nintendo and Bethesda are going to be there, like Microsoft is going to be there. Like they're all pretty good about coming to PAX. Maybe not in pandemic years, but like I don't think that's really going to change. I think like when we're talking about E3 and like they're going to Gamescom, and Gamescom would cost way more than booking a booth at E3. So like, or at PAX, sorry. So like E3 was probably just super expensive and not worth your time. I don't think a PAX is going to be like that. And like I haven't been paying attention to who's going to like the PAX Easts and Wests and of America, but I'm sure it's kind of picking back up because it's more of like a celebration of games instead of like big announcements and splashy new reveals and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense for them to all be there, especially Nintendo. It's in their home city, so very cheap for them, within Australia, of course. So yeah, it makes sense. I think tickets are still available, not a fact-based show. Depends on when you actually hear this episode. But there was some available when these announcements were made, so there's probably some drabs left. There's still a chance, but I would get in quick because they don't last that long.
We'll talk about it before it happens. It's pretty much early October, I think, which I forget when it is. It's in October sometime. I think I'm going to be too... I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll be back before then, but like you said, we're on a 3-week break. Sorry, people. Bali and Canada call. But the good news is, by the time we come back, we'll be able to talk about Starfield because... Well, we really have no excuse not to have played it by that point. So there you go.
That's it. So I think it's going to be not a fact-based show for our own announcements, but I think it's going to be a Starfield special. All Starfield, all the time for that episode. At least I hope so.
Unless it's really bad, and then maybe we just don't come back at all. We just
that'll be the most entertaining episode for the listeners. So hopefully not. Let's hope that we're here for a good game. Xbox needs a win, and this is their opportunity. So until then, thanks for listening.
Have fun in Bali.